Hello everybody, John12 back here again with another video, and today I bring you my official Avengers Age of Ultron movie review. Now of course, it's been a little while. I've not had a chance to really sit down and give you my personal thoughts on the film itself, but overall, I did watch it opening day, May 1st. Of course, a lot of people saw it prior, which put out tons of spoiler videos on the internet, which I tried my hardest to avoid, but things happen. Nonetheless, I did see the film on May 1st. I enjoyed it very much, and I'm here to give you my movie review, and hopefully you guys like it. Nonetheless, I want to make certain topics very clear before getting into the movie review. Of course, first off, huge shout out to Joss Whedon. I think he did an amazing job with this film, and he just made an awesome, epic film. And I know a lot of people are giving him shit because of the whole Marvel comments he's been making, that he's gonna not make another Marvel movie, he's gonna leave Marvel, he's saying fuck Marvel, he wants to make a DC movie, he wants to do his own creative movie, all that other stuff. For me, I say, let the guy do what he wants to do. Stop forcing him to do what you guys want him to do. I mean, like, he did two amazing MCU movies, the two first Avengers. Great. He did an amazing job, and I can't wait to see what he does afterwards, because he's a creative, awesome dude, and whether that be another comic book movie, or, his own film, or his own comic book movie, then just let him do it. I just can't wait to see what he does afterwards that doesn't technically belong to Marvel or DC. Even though I would like to see him do a DC film. I'm just saying. I know it's not going to happen, but I just would like that to happen anyways. Nonetheless, also another topic I want to make perfectly clear before getting to this review, that even though there may be things that I loved about this film, there are things that I don't like about this film. And just because it's an MCU movie doesn't mean I have to overrate it, and I also feel that I have to be honest in my review, like I always am, and I just want to make it clear to everyone who watches who's a hardcore Marvel or MCU fan that this is subjective. It's my personal opinion, and if you don't disagree, and if you don't agree with it, of course, comment below. Let me know what you personally thought about the film versus my first opinion about it. And of course, just remember and keep in mind that of course it's my personal opinion, and I have to be honest. It's just because it's an MCU movie doesn't mean I have to give them a free suck. That's all I'm going to say. And also, ending this with my topics, I also want to make it perfectly clear that I don't want to have any Marvel vs. DC comments below. I get it. A lot of people are bitching, especially over the course of the last few months. Marvel vs. DC people. A lot of people want Marvel to be more serious like DC. A lot of people want DC to be like the MCU. I get it. It's understandable. I get it. But they're two completely different brands, different universes, different franchises. DC's doing its own thing, and I think that's a good thing. And MCU has done their own thing, and I think it's worked out perfectly for them, and that's good for them as well. I just feel that just because one thing's not the other doesn't mean it's not good. That's all I'm going to say as well for that. Nonetheless, let's get right into this film, Avengers Age of Ultron, the sequel to the first Avengers, and of course, the second to last film in Phase 2 of the MCU, which of course led up before it was Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America the Winter Soldier, and of course Guardians of the Galaxy. Now let's get right into this film. First off, let me give you a brief synopsis of what happened in this film. Now, of course, if you've not seen the film, this review may contain spoilers, so please check out the film beforehand so we can talk shit about what happened inside the film. Nonetheless, this film opens up in Eastern Europe, where the Avengers are taking down Hydra, who have the scepter wielded by Loki that has one of the Infinity Gems, using by Baron von Strucker, which was hinted at the end of Winter Soldier. And of course, we get our first glimpses and experience of the two twins, Pietro Wanda Maximoff, aka Quicksilver, and the Scarlet Witch, where Pietro, Quicksilver, has superhuman speed, and Wanda, Scarlet Witch, has the power to manipulate minds and throw energy blasts. Personally, I felt it was an amazing thing that Joss Whedon brought in Pietro and Wanda Maximoff. I think it was amazing. I personally feel that Scarlet Witch was, hands down, one of the best things about this film, and hands down the highlight of the film. Personally, for me, I would have loved to have seen more Scarlet Witch. That's just my personal opinion. But anyways, moving off of that, of course, Strucker uses the twins against the Avengers, and the Avengers take down Hydra, defeat them, the twins escape, they leave, and of course, Tony Stark takes the scepter away from Strucker, and the day is saved, and Hydra is defeated. Nonetheless, they go back to the Avengers Tower up in New York, if I'm not mistaken, because, you know, everything in the MCU is done in New York, obviously. Nonetheless, Stark and Banner are doing experiments on the scepter that has one of the Infinity Gems, and of course, secretly in their lab, they're also using a specific program that Stark calls the Global Defense Program, aka Ultron, which of course Stark wants to use so the Avengers can stop being the Avengers, and so that Ultron and the rest of his Iron Legion can continue to save the world without them, which is an honorable idea, but of course isn't going to work based off the title itself. But nonetheless, unexpectedly, of course, Ultron becomes self-aware during a party at the headquarters of the Avengers, and of course eliminates Stark's other AI, which of course is Jarvis, destroys Jarvis, technically, attacks him, and then goes against the Avengers, takes them down, steals the scepter, and then escapes. Of course, Ultron has become viral, so now that he's, you know, gotten inside the internet, if you will, he's everywhere. So now that the Avengers can't stop him, they have to go and try and find the source of where the scepter's going, which is, of course, back to Eastern Europe, if I'm not mistaken. And, of course, Ultron brings in the help of the twins, which he wants to use their power against the Avengers, so while he creates his Iron Legion, and, of course, acquires the universally epic metal of all time, Antimantium, aka Vibranium, in this universe. I know it's not Antimantium, but it's Vibranium. Same thing. It's the same basic thing. Nonetheless, the Avengers team up to try and take down Ultron the second time, but of course that is failed due to the fact that Wanda and Quicksilver, of course, take down all of the Avengers by using her, I don't want to say mutant powers because they're not mutants in this universe, but they're meta powers to manipulate the Avengers' minds, where Captain America is seeing the life that he wish he had, Thor is seeing visions of his universe that he's lost. You know, we get to see various other, we get to see Black Widow's origin story, we get to see various other kind of sequences, which I thought were epic and very artsy, which I think was lacking in the first film. There were a lot of interesting sequences that we got to see in the first film, but I just loved how they were heightened within this film, especially mind control, because that was used before within Hawkeye in the first film, but I think it was done definitely, it was done better in this film. I think that's just my personal opinion. You let me know what you personally think. But of course, the day is ended with the Hulk being manipulated, which of course is the creme de la creme of what we were expecting with this film, which of course the Hulk versus the Hulkbuster. Shit goes down, city gets destroyed, Hulkbuster just go all out, just beating the living crap out of each other. But of course, at the end of the day, it all comes to an end, and of course there's a humongous backlash towards the Avengers for basically almost destroying the entire city, and everybody just wants, everyone's head. So of course the Avengers have to go on their secret hiding spot, and we get opened up into Hawkeye's love life, which was completely secret from the rest of the Avengers, and of course the MCU, and obviously us. That was obviously a humongous mind twister. And of course, I want to point this out right before I continue. I find it very odd that they did that. Now granted, I know that over the course of this film, that Joss Whedon definitely wanted Hawkeye to have more of a push and popularity, because let's be honest, Hawkeye's our least favorite Avenger. I mean, for me personally, I was really expecting him to die in this film, which I'm pretty sure a lot of us were, but of course that did not happen, spoilers. Nonetheless, he has this entire family. His wife is being played, obviously, by Linda Cardellini, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think, she plays his wife, which I was not expecting at first. I really felt that, I don't think he needed that. I personally don't feel like after it helped, because at the end of the day, I felt that the Hawkeye storyline, even though it could have been its own thing, which I would have appreciated it if they did a spin-off and did its own thing afterwards, instead of having the spoon-fed us in the movie itself. But for me, I just felt like it was a little too pushy and unnecessary. I feel like you could have just cut out most of that stuff and just let it be. Granted, there's not a lot of relationship statuses within this movie, but then again, it's an Avengers movie. It's supposed to be the ultimate team-up to take down the ultimate, villain. So that's the point of the Avengers. But granted, you can tell that Joss Whedon wanted to open up a lot of relationship statuses. For instance, the Hawkeye and family relationship. And they also wanted to open up the Hulk and Black Widow relationship, which is hinted various times within this film. Which going into the film, I really wasn't expecting to like it. But after seeing it in perspective, it's a fucking amazing plotline that I thank Joss Whedon for doing. I mean, granted, Black Widow has had a lot of relationships in the past within the MCU. Like, she had a thing for Hawkeye in the first Avengers. She had a thing for Cappy in the Winter Soldier. And now she has a thing for the Hulk. But for me, the Hulk and Natasha relationship, I think, was the best relationship I've seen out of the MCU. It was so just refreshing to see a new relationship done differently that you wouldn't even expect it. Like, you would have never thought to team up, Black Widow and the Hulk. Like, that's just weird. That doesn't even make any sense. Like, how do you do that to those two characters that have, like, nothing in common? But he did, Joss Whedon did it, and I think it was a great job. I mean, their relationship and their back and forth and their, and the love that they obviously have with each other is so just refreshing to see. It was just an amazing sequence. Nonetheless, at the end of the day, the Avengers must come up with a plan to take down Ultron and his Legion, who, of course, are setting up to destroy the planet itself. But, of course, they need some obvious reinforcements, which, of course, comes in the Vision. Now, of course, in the comic books, Ultron is created by Hank Pym, but in this movie he's created by Tony Stark and I guess Bruce Banner. In this unit, and also in the Marvel Universe, Ultron creates the Vision. In this movie, it kind of makes it feel that Ultron and Tony Stark kind of create the Vision. They create their own versions of the Vision. Basically, Ultron wants to use the Mind Stone, the Infinity Stone, and use it for the Vision, make it part of the Vision, so he can use that power to destroy the Avengers. Stark wants to use the Vision with the Infinity Stone to try and defeat Ultron. Because at the end of the day, they realize that they can't defeat Ultron by themselves, especially if he has the twins. So they're going to need the Vision. But of course that comes haywire. That's when the friction starts within the team, which felt very like the predecessor to Civil War, which I think was a good thing. Where obviously a lot of people feel that Stark has fucked up so much over the course of this film that he should not create the Vision and not release the Vision. But of course at the end of the day, they have no choice. Vision must be released. Vision does come out, and of course he's being played by Paul Bettany. Now, I've said my personal opinion many times before. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. And I know a lot of people have problems with this opinion. But remember, it's subjective. It's my personal opinion. I have to be honest. I still feel, after seeing the film, I still feel that Paul Bettany was the wrong choice for the Vision. Granted, the Vision was amazing. He was one of the best parts of the film, next to Scarlet Witch, ironically. But I still feel that the Vision should have been played by an actor other than Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany, I think he did a decent job. The Vision was a great part of the film, and he had an amazing sequence along with the Avengers. And I just love that moment where obviously no one can pick up Thor's hammer than the Vision. Which is a big old F you to Thor, which I loved. I loved that moment. I really loved it. The second he picks up that hammer, and Thor's like a little bitch, and he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go follow him. That's a badass. I loved it. But did it have to be Paul Bettany? I'm just saying, did it really have to be him? That's just my personal opinion. I still feel that he was the wrong choice for the Vision. I still feel that you could have picked another actor and it could have been just as good or maybe even better. I just think that when a person plays multiple characters, that it doesn't really give another actor the chance to be a comic book character. Which there are tons of actors out there that would be great choices for comic book characters. And then again, Paul Bettany's already played Jarvis. So what's the point of giving him another character? What's next? He's going to play another AI? I'm just saying, it is what it is. He did his thing. I liked it. I just still wish, even after seeing the film, that they could have gone another actor. That's just my personal opinion. Let me know what you personally think about the Vision in the comment section below. Specifically, the actor who plays the Vision. Nonetheless, of course, the Vision joining with the new Avengers, of course, joined also with Wanda and Pietro, who, after realizing Ultron's true plans to destroy and eliminate all of humanity, of course, joins up with the Avengers to go out and take on an entire new war against Ultron and his Iron Legion, which of course was a humongous CGI and visual spectacle, amazing sequences, amazing action sequences. We get amazing Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, the Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Cappy, Iron Man, versus Ultron-esque stuff, which was amazing. It was definitely an epic scenario of biblical proportions. And of course, at the end of the day, there must be some sacrifices. Yes, there is a character that actually dies with this film, that's actually a main character, not just a supporting character that none of us really care about. It is, spoilers, Quicksilver. Quicksilver, yes, indeed dies within this film, sacrificing himself to save Hawkeye and a child who are being shot down by Ultron. And at the end of the day, it is what it is. Quicksilver, I made a topic about this, which I don't think I'm going to make a follow-up, so I'm going to just do it right here in my review in and of itself. And of course, you can comment below, let me know what you personally think about it. I made a video titled, Who will be the better Quicksilver? X-Men versus Avengers. And I made that video after I saw X-Men Days of Future Past, and I wanted to know comic book fans' opinions in the comments. Who was going to be better? Who do you think was going to be better, Evan Peters or Aaron Taylor Johnson? After seeing this film, and I actually had this debate with Paul, and he feels differently with me. And as much as I loved Aaron Taylor as Quicksilver in this film, and I really wasn't expecting to, because I felt like he was not a good choice as well, and I felt that, you didn't really need him. You could have just had Scarlet Witch, and I would have been just fine. But I do have to say that he did an amazing job. He did win me over. He was definitely more comic book accurate than the X-Men version, and he obviously was a badass. But at the end of the day, if I have to pick one, which actor did a better job as Quicksilver that I enjoyed more, I have to go with Evan Peters from X-Men Days of Future Past. I know a lot of people from the MCU, universe are going to kick my ass about this, but I have to be honest. Evan Peters made that movie awesome. Like, if you took out that Quicksilver movie out of Days of Future Past, I don't know if it would be just as good. But with Avengers, if you took out Quicksilver, I feel like it still would have been an Avengers movie. That's the difference, and that's what I base my opinion on. Let me know what you personally think in the comment section below. I'm not bashing Aaron Taylor Johnson. I think he did a phenomenal job, especially for a character that I personally don't even care for. I mean, Quicksilver has to be, in my personal opinion, like the worst speedster ever, because he's not really that fast, if I'm not mistaken, and he has like one of the worst costumes. But at the end of the day, he is the brother of Wanda, one of my favorite fucking female superheroes in the Marvel Universe, so I'm gonna forgive that. Nonetheless, he does sacrifice himself to save Hawkeye and the rest of the people who are being destroyed. Ultron uses the vibranium, of course, to lift an entire city, and uses it as a meteorite to destroy the rest of the planet. And of course, Iron Man uses his powers, and Thor uses their powers to try and destroy the vibranium and the meteor before impacting the entire planet. And of course, at the end of the day is saved. Ultron is defeated. All of his Iron Legion are taken down by the Avengers single-handedly. And of course, the Vision, spoilers, and Ultron have their final moments together. AI versus AI. Kind of similar in the beginning of the film. And they have this wonderful conversation together where they're talking about how the Vision is a slave and Ultron is just a misguided child. I love those moments. I felt like that was a perfect ending to the fight. I personally felt that Ultron should have had more screen time, but I feel like the idea that Joss Whedon was trying to get across, that he was like Frankenstein's monster, if you will, I think was a good decision overall. And I think it was very well presented, especially in this one sequence, like where the Vision and Ultron, like they know that one of them has to go. They just know that Ultron's never going to give up on trying to eliminate him. And the Vision, regardless of how he personally feels about Ultron, respects him. He states that all the time within the film when he becomes the Vision, where he is intrigued by Ultron. He doesn't want to kill Ultron. He wants to save Ultron from himself. And of course, obviously that can't happen because Ultron's going to eliminate the Avengers and the universe because that's how he sees things. And of course, at the end of the day, spoilers, the Vision kills Ultron. The last robot of Ultron, if you will. Scarlet Witch technically kills Ultron, the Ultron body, but, Vision takes the rest of the job. Nonetheless, the day is saved, Ultron is defeated, Vision continues to keep the Infinity Stone, the Mind Stone, which will definitely be a humongous part within Infinity War. And of course, the rest of the Avengers go off to do their own separate things. Hulk leaves to undisclosed parts of the world to escape their relationship of Natasha and Bruce Banner, of course, for reasons unknown. I guess he does it because he doesn't want to hurt her anymore, so he goes to do his own thing, which I thought was hands down one of the saddest part of the movie. And Hawkeye leaves to go with his family and to be with his family. Tony Stark goes back, I guess, to do his own thing. Thor goes back to Asgard to get answers for what happened within this movie. And of course, Captain America with Black Widow, of course, team up to train the new teammates of the new Avengers, which of course is thus Captain America, Black Widow, War Machine, Scarlet Witch, the Vision, and of course Falcon, who more than likely will end up being the new Captain America if Captain America dies in Civil War, which I find unlikely, because if I'm not mistaken, Chris Evans is going to appear in Infinity War, so I'm guessing more than likely no one is going to die between the two of Tony Stark and Captain America, ironically enough. Spoilers all around, God, it's so ironic that they kind of fucked themselves here, but at the end of the day, that's pretty much the entire film. It ends with, of course, the new Avengers being assembled, and of course Captain America going to train them. So that's pretty much the end of the Avengers, Age of Ultron. And of course we get our mid-credit scene. I know there was a lot of hints and comments by Kevin Feige and Joss Whedon that there wasn't going to be multiple post-credit scenes, and there weren't. There was only one mid-credit scene, which kind of sucks. I wish there would have been two, because I feel like that was the best part of Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy, that they had two post-credit scenes, but I guess because there was so much footage and action within the first Age of Ultron film, that it was kind of pointless to just hammer people over the head with more footage, even though I would have liked it if they had to. But nonetheless, there is a mid-credit scene, which of course is the Infinity Gauntlet being made and Thanos retrieving it, putting it on his hand, and of course vowing to hunt down the Infinity Stones personally. And that's the end of the film. Of course, it was an epic action film of biblical proportions, and at the end of the day, there was a lot of things that I can say that I loved. Scarlet Witch, number one, best thing about the film. I loved Scarlet Witch. Elizabeth Olsen, once again, did an amazing job as the Scarlet Witch. I wish they could have made an entire movie about Scarlet Witch. That's how much I loved her as Scarlet Witch. It was an amazing casting choice, an amazing performance. I can't wait to see more of her. And I really can't wait to see her relationship with the Vision post Age of Ultron, which I'm pretty sure could happen after this, hinting at the fact that they did have kind of a thing for each other, kinda, within the film. So will it happen? We're going to have to wait and see, but I really enjoyed it nonetheless. Scarlet Witch was awesome. Second, I really enjoyed the opening of the film. I think it was definitely far superior to the opening of the first film, because the first film was very slow and very boring. The opening for this film felt very high-paced and very action-packed, and plus it had an amazing sequence that we got in the trailers of all the Avengers lined up attacking Hydra, which was an amazing comic book cover shot, and I loved it. Moving off of that, I also loved the ending game action sequences with Ultron versus the Avengers. I love that as well when they're obviously in when they're all together and they're fighting simultaneously together as a team. I love that. That was an amazing action sequence. It was obviously all the Avengers plus Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch who are now a part of the Avengers, of course, taking down all the Iron Legions, all of Ultron's bots, and it was amazing action sequence. Once again, another really great comic book cover shot. Loved it. Amazing shot. Fourthly, God, I love that Vision versus Ultron moment. I really enjoyed their talk together, and I love the moment where Vision destroys Ultron, and you don't really technically see it, and I love their conversation beforehand. Also, I really like the Vision, even though I still feel mixed about Paul Bettany as a person in general. I still really like the Vision. I think he was epic. I feel like he was a badass. I feel that he definitely did an amazing job at presenting the Vision as a very superior character. And once again, him picking up Thor's hammer was hands down one of my favorite moments within the entire film. And especially one of my favorite comedic moments. And of course, at the end of the day, I just love the action, direction, the visuals, the CGI, everything that happens with the film that Joss Whedon put into it personally, the mind control sequences. There were just so many things that happened with this film that are amazing and epic and awesome, and I can't wait to see Infinity War after this. That's like the first thing I can say that really impressed me, that after seeing this, I just can't wait to see Infinity War. Anyways, moving off of that, I do have to get into the negatives, the cons, the things I did not like about this film. First off, I really felt that, once again, without the obvious, Paul Bettany wasn't really a big fan. That's already one thing that I've already mentioned. The biggest thing, Hawkeye, I really felt that his relationship, his family, was really forced. I really felt that you could have just cut out the Hawkeye thing, and it would have just been just as good. Granted, Jeremy Renner was getting a huge push within, the press, so I guess that could have hinted at the fact that, yeah, he was definitely going to have a humongous presence within the film. And personally, as much as I love Linda Cardellini, I love her, I think she's one of my faves, but God, I just felt so bored watching all of that sequence. Like, I guess because we didn't get that in the past, and it was never hinted, that, like, even at this point in time, I still don't care. Like, you could have, if you did this earlier, maybe I would have cared more, but as much as Joss Whedon or whoever who wanted this was trying to make that certain part of the film make it worthwhile with us, I just felt was not really worth the while. I mean, I just felt it was just unnecessary, and you could have cut it out of the film. That's pretty much the best I can say. Moving off of that, another thing I really wasn't really big on was the tone and comedic elements of the film. As much as I love the MCU for its comedy, and as much as I love it for its lightheartedness, and of course it's Disney, so it's expected to see that. And as dark that Age of Ultron does get, it has so much comedy in it where it's almost overwhelming. Now, granted, I'm not trying to say that as like a butthurt DC fan. I know a lot of people are going to say that. Once again, don't. But at the end of the day, as much as I love that stuff, it was too much. It was definitely too much. I haven't done the math, but if you go back and compare the comedy of the first Avengers and compare it to the second Avengers comedy, you're definitely going to see a difference. There were so many jokes, so many one-liners, and so many just comedic elements put into this film in comparison to the first film that it's definitely overwhelming. For me personally, it just felt way too overwhelming. As much as I appreciated, especially some of the one-liners, especially the moment where Vision picks up the hammer in front of Thor, I just wish it was unnecessary. Like, it was just like they should have cut the comedy in half. It's not. This is Avengers. It's not Guardians of the Galaxy. As much as I love Guardians of the Galaxy for its comedy, you don't have to do that for all the movies. I'm just saying. And you already know that Ant-Man's already going to be a comedy, so I don't know. It's really hard to say. As much as I love the MCU for its comedy, I feel like at this point in time, they're just beating us over the head with it. It's just like, yes, I get it. Like, the one-liners, I loved it. I was like, awesome, yeah. And then when you get the over the head, like beating yourself over the head with the comedic jokes, it's like, yeah, I get it. Can we move on? That's how I felt. It just felt too much with the comedic moments. I just felt like they should have just, pushed some of them aside and just cut a lot of it out. This is Age of Ultron. Hence the title, Age of Ultron, is not really a good happy-go-lucky kind of title. So please, let's keep it somewhat serious. Please. I'm just saying. It was just a little too much. But nonetheless, that's the way it is. That's, how it came out and how it was presented. So there's not really any way you can, change it now. Nonetheless, another thing I was not really big on, which is, I guess, the biggest thing that I wasn't really into in this film, was Ultron. I was not a huge fan of Ultron, and I know a lot of people will get off on me about that, but at the end of the day, I was never an Ultron fan. I never liked him from the comic books. I always felt he was kind of a nuisance, and he was never really a threat to the Avengers. Even in this film, it felt like Ultron, even though he had his moments, especially at the end of the film, he never really felt like a literal threat to me. Like, there were so many moments where he could have took down the Avengers, and there were so many moments where he could have been a legitimate threat, where he just never took the chance. And I think a lot of that has to do with the mind that he has. In the comic books, he's created by Hank Pym. So he takes a lot of his personal traits by Hank Pym. So that makes him one of the most intelligent and most menacing characters within the Marvel Universe. In the MCU, he is created by Stark, so he has a lot of his personal traits by Tony, which is not a good thing, because Tony is Robert Downey Jr., and we already know that, so he's obviously going to be very all over the place and very comedic, which I don't think worked to Ultron's advantage. I really felt that he was very underutilized, and the moments that he was in was very unthreatening, and after watching the entire movie and looking at it in perspective, there's not really a real moment looking back on the film where I felt like, wow, I'm scared of Ultron. Wow, Ultron's a real legitimate threat. Wow, he's really going to defeat the Avengers. I never felt that. I never really felt that in the entire viewing of the film. I never really felt that. And at the end of the day, Joss Whedon and the MCU and this film in general still hasn't really changed my mind on Ultron. I still, after seeing this movie, it kind of made me not like Ultron more. Ultron's just not my favorite Marvel villain. There's so many greater villains in him that have made a legitimate threat and have really made a great presence. Here's a good comparison. Loki. Loki from the first Avengers, I think, was a superior villain in comparison to James Spader as Ultron. No offense to James Spader, I think he did a phenomenal job at doing what he did and presenting what he was presented with, but he just wasn't a real villain to me. He never felt like a villain. He felt like a very sympathetic robot toy that was created by Tony Stark. That's pretty much the best I can say. I mean, in comparison to Loki, I had the same kind of opinion. Loki is a wiener of a character. I never felt like he was a legitimate threat. He's just Thor's idiot brother. I never thought of him as a legitimate villain, and I never liked Loki from the comic books. But after seeing that first Avengers movie, I was like, fuck yeah, Loki's the shit. Tom Hiddleston killed it with Loki. I mean, he just killed it. James Spader, although I think he did a great job, did not change my mind on Ultron. And I don't think he was a legitimate villain in this movie. But at the end of the day, Ultron was just not a legitimate threat. I felt like he was just a toy to be used. And as much as Joss Whedon may have done, I guess, justice to how he viewed it, I just feel like Ultron should have been more of a villain and more or less like a comedic, just Iron Man bot. That's all I really feel like. But nonetheless, that's just my personal opinion of the movie itself. The pros, I love the visuals, I love the action, I love the CG, I love the character portrayals, I love Scarlet Witch, I love the Vision, I liked Quicksilver, I liked how everyone had a good amount of screen time, I love the comic book cover shots, like in the beginning and the end of the film. I just love the film overall. I think Joss Whedon did a great creative job at recreating a great Avengers film. But at the same time, there were things about it that I did not like. I did not like the Paul Bettany thing. I didn't like the Ultron thing. I wasn't really big on the comedy. I wasn't big on changing of origins. There were just things that I just wasn't really big on within this film. But at the end of the day, if I have to look at it in perspective, in comparison on the things that I did like and the things I didn't like, it's still a good, solid movie. It's definitely a good film in and of itself. At the end of the day, I have to give it a good 7.5, a solid 8 out of 10. It was a good, solid movie, a great MCU movie, and it's definitely worth the watch. It's a good Joss Whedon film. Joss Whedon, thank you for giving us a great film. But nonetheless, I can't wait to see what he gives us next, and I can't wait to see Civil War and the rest of the MCU slate. Nonetheless, at the end of the day, before I finish off, I wanted to compare certain movies. I wanted to just give you my personal opinion on how I rate these movies. Avengers versus Age of Ultron. I liked Age of Ultron's visuals and action more, but and character portrayals, but I love the story and villain of the first film, and I think the visuals was a little bit more comic booky in the first film, which is why I liked it a little bit more. So, at the end of the day, as much as I love both films in their own separate ways, I think the first Avengers was better. Let me know what you personally think. Do you think Age of Ultron was better than the first Avengers, or do you think the first film was superior in comparison to the second film? And also in the MCU Phase 2 slate, my favorites in order have to be Guardians of the Galaxy #1, Age of Ultron 2nd, and Winter Soldier 3rd, I think are the best in the in Phase 2. I as much as I like Age of Ultron, I still feel that Guardians of the Galaxy was a little better. It was just a little bit... It just felt right as a film. It just felt a little bit better. I don't know how to explain it. I've already said my piece on it. Guardians of the Galaxy was the best film that MCU has done so far, and possibly, maybe, may ever do. Maybe? I don't know. It really depends on the future of the MCU. This film definitely came close. It was definitely awesome. And for the future, the rest of the Phase 2, Ant-Man, I'm still going to see. I am anticipating the film. I am going to do a review on it. But after seeing Age of Ultron and having the full experience of witnessing the Avengers for the second time, my God, I don't know if Ant-Man's going to be better. It really depends, especially after how comedic this film is, and after guessing how comedic Ant-Man's going to be. I don't know if I'm going to like it as much. It's really going to depend on how the final product is. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, let me know what you personally think in the comment section below. What did you think about Age of Ultron? Was it the best MCU movie so far? What did you think about James Spader's Ultron? What do you think about Elizabeth Olsen's and Aaron Taylor-Johnson's performances as Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch? Which Quicksilver is better, Evan Peters or Aaron Taylor-Johnson? What did you think about the Vision? What do you think about Paul Bettany's performance as the Vision? What are your personal speculations are going to happen? Do you think are going to happen with his Mind Stone? And also let me know what you personally think about the new Avengers lineup. What do you think the rest of the Avengers are going to do separately? Of course, we already know because they're getting their separate movies, but, just let me know what you think speculation-wise in the comment section below. What did you think about the Hawkeye push? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What did you think about Ultron as a villain? Did you think he had a good presence? Do you think he was a good threat? What do you think about the cameos and references to various other characters like Black Panther and so on and so forth? Just let me know what you think about the film overall in the comment section below. Even though there were things I didn't like the comedy, the casting, certain castings, the vibe of the film, Ultron as a villain, The movie overall is still good. The Avengers are here to stay. They're a staple in the movie industry. They were epic. They were amazing. I love the cameos from various other superheroes, which makes the universe have more depth. Which is what I love about the MCU, that it has depth and it has so many characters that it doesn't feel like a party that's being overstuffed. It just feels like a good, solid, coherent film. And that's what I love about the Avengers and how Joss Whedon used the Avengers. But nonetheless, the highlights: Scarlet Witch, the Vision, the action, the visuals, the Captain America Tony Stark friction. All about it was awesome. It was just amazing. 8 out of 10 for me, personally, in the comment section below. Let me know what you personally think in the comment section. I really feel that certain people are going to overrate it, but I'm just trying to be realistic with it, because as much as I really love the film, I have to keep in mind that there may have been things that could have been better and may have been cut out of the film that really could have pushed the film in a different direction. And after seeing it in perspective, I can't wait for that Blu-ray release, because just after watching the movie, it just feels like there's just a whole nother hour of the movie that I didn't get to see. I'm just saying, I'm not going to be surprised that when we get the film in Blu-ray, that there's going to be a theatrical cut and then like the director's cut. I just feel like there's going to be 2 versions of the film. I hope. But nonetheless, let me know what you personally think. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. Hope you guys enjoyed. This has been John 12.